Hey, welcome and thanks for joining our keynote Agile Unmasked, Dispelling People and Culture Myths. We are very excited to share our thoughts and experience on Agile transformations and what insights and lessons we can learn from the series Squid Game. I'm player 457. My name is Won. I'm actually named after the currency of South Korea. And last year, in November, I started at Arlanda, a management consulting company, and I work there as an Agile transformation lead and Agile community of practice lead. And the last 10 years, I'm helping, consulting, coaching, training, and assisting companies in their Agile journey. Next to me.
Hi, I think I'll take this off now.
Yeah.
It's getting pretty hot in here. My name is Noah. I'm 32 years old from Amsterdam, and also work at Arlanda since about a year now. I'm not a player today. I'm a henchman, as you can see, but don't worry, Juan, you have nothing to fear.
Yeah.
My background is also in Agile Scrum Master. I've done some Agile portfolio management, and I'm currently employed in the healthcare sector. And looking forward to diving into Agile myths and facts with you all.
All right. Just out of curiosity, who watched the series? Could you maybe thumbs up in the chat? And of course, we're also very curious how many people joined this session. So let me see.
I see already responses.
17 people.
Sarsani, Ivana, welcome.
Yeah. Joey did. Well, to give a short summary, the series was launched on Netflix in 2017, and it was a huge success in more than 90 countries. At that moment, it was the #1 series. It's a South Korean drama series that revolves around a group of people with financial problems. And they are invited to take part in a series of mysterious and deadly games based on traditional children's games. The participants compete for a huge cash prize. That's 45 billion won. In euros, it's roughly 33 million euro. But soon they discover that losing means losing their lives. And the series explores themes such as desperation, survival, and moral choices people make under extreme pressure. Well, the title refers to the Squid Game. That's the last of the 6 games that must be played by the participants who are left. And what all players have in common and what connects them is that they are all in deep financial problem. But money wasn't actually the motivation to join this game. At first, it seems that the players were only joining because of the cash prize of 45 billion won. But their motivation went beyond money. For example, Kyung wanted to get custody of his daughter and get medicine for his mother. Si-byuk wanted to help her mother cross the border. And Ali, he wanted to give his family just a better life. And having a higher purpose often has a broader impact and can give meaning to a person's life. Purpose gives meaning and direction to one's life, often by contributing to a well-being of others or society as a whole. So that's why it's important to know what you want to achieve as a person or as a team or as a company. So what is the higher purpose of your company and how can you make impact or how can you make a difference? I think that is what connects us all. We all want to contribute to a better, safer, greener world. And like the answer always given in the beauty contest, we want world peace. But next to our higher purpose, what we're aiming for, it's also the question, what do we stand for and how do we get there? Well, the series Squid Game highlights various principles and themes that are highlighted through the various games and the interaction between the participants. For example, survival and despair. The participants are desperate and willing to do anything to survive and win, highlighting how extreme conditions can affect human nature, and each game presents participants with a choice between life and death. Participants are also forced to make moral choices, such as choosing between their own survival and surviving others. And well, actually in every game, different behavior, different principles are shown. And what can we learn from these principles? And well, our keynote, it's about principles, about people and culture. Together, we create a culture. I always say people make cultures and cultures make people. As a friend, a partner, a colleague, a parent, together we decide what we say is normal or not, who's in or out, what's wrong or right, good or bad, and how do we actually deal with all these differences of people. Because we decide which values and norms we think are normal and what behavior fits normal. These principles change during time. How do you deal with these constantly changes? How do you participate and behave on unexpected changes? And that's what we call personal agility, the ability as a human being to deal with unexpected changes. Well, this actually asks for a paradigm shift, a different mindset, a growth mindset, a different behavior, different leadership. So let's dive into some of the scenes of the series Squid Game and share our thoughts. We have defined 3 statements, so let's unmask the myths. Yeah, like I mentioned, we have defined 3 myths or facts about people and culture in agile transformations. They are inspired by the series Squid Game. And we will first share the myth or fact, then we will dive into the Squid Game. What does Squid Game say about this? What does the theory say? And then we'll finally share our experience. So what does Noah say or what do I say? We've created a poll where you can choose between myth or fact. So let's go to the first myth.
Yeah, and I'd like to also add that if you have any questions or you want to know something more about us or about our talk, you can do that all the way at the end via the chat.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, here it is. So this is our first statement right here. And let me read it out. Organizational cultural change happens automatically as a product of agile transformations. Now, you're going to see the poll in a minute, but let me first dive into how the parallel can be drawn with the Squid Game series. So in Squid Game, people are instantly thrown into this pretty wild, dangerous life and death scenario, which obviously instantly creates a culture of survival. But what's interesting to see is that as the series progresses, the players find out that a culture of survival doesn't necessarily also mean survival. Sometimes they actually are better off working together and cooperating. And so this cultural survival slowly starts a transition towards looking to thrive together within this weird, wild world of Squid Game. Although it's not as extreme, but we can draw a parallel with this in our daily organizations. Luckily, it's not life and death there, although sometimes, well, we'll leave that one open. But we could say that a survival culture, probably some of us really have experienced something like that in some of the organizations that we have worked at. So survival culture, what is it? Well, it really aims at putting oneself first. We call it in Dutch elbow work. So we try to get ourselves on top. Image is important. And it really doesn't take into account cooperation and looking for a higher purpose together. What does the theory say about this? Well, if you would like to develop a culture of more cooperation and a more thrive culture, then the theory says that it might be wise to see if you can create a culture of learning and experimentation. And sometimes agile transformation can actually support this. But we are very curious to what you think. So let's see what the votes do. Do you feel if that organizational cultural change happens automatically as a product of agile transformations, or are you a bit in doubt? Let's see, I think the poll is already live. If the poll is not working for you, you can also respond in the chat with a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you agree or not so much.
Let's come and take a look.
Okay, we got a lot on the myth side.
Yeah. Okay.
That's interesting. Nice.
Yeah.
You want to respond to that one?
Yeah, I will share my experience. In my opinion and experience, it doesn't happen automatically, unfortunately. It's more something companies forget than that it actually happens. It should be priority number one, if you ask me. Because transforming into an agile organization, it means a different way of working. It means having a different mindset, new structures, different kind of leadership, very important. And I've seen companies and teams and peoples really struggling with the principles and values that Agile embraces. So what you're actually asking your employees is, hey, please change your mindset, your beliefs, your values, your norms, rituals, and so on. So that's, if you think about that, a really tough question. So culture, it should really get attention. About software of the mind, I would say, which is deeply rooted in the way people think, feel, and act, and which is often unconscious and implicit. And I, have experienced a company not focusing on cultural change, and the impact was huge on people. They really felt damaged. They felt like damage in their trust, and it affected the employee happiness, but also physical and mental health. So, I would say it doesn't happen automatically. It really needs focus and attention.
Explicit care. All right. Let's power through. We're heading over to the next statement.
Yeah, and that's for who have seen the series Marble. That's game 4 in the series. The goal is to get all the 10 of your opponent's marbles within 30 minutes. And the players pair up, and each player gets a bag of 10 marbles. The pairs play against each other instead of with each other, because some of the players thought they were teaming up, but they actually played against each other. They are free to define the rules and to decide which game they're going to play in order to win each other marbles. And anyone who does not have 20 marbles after 30 minutes is out. So let's watch a short video.
You will be playing in teams of 2. Find someone you wish to play with. You will have 10 minutes to find your partner.
Hey, handsome.
Sangwoo, Ali, let's join forces. You and me will be the best team. Hey, old man. Want to do this together?
Players, please take 1 bag each from the staff member before you. You will play the game of your choice with your partner. The player who manages to take all 10 marbles from their partner wins. Let the game begin.
What game are we gonna play?
So you guess if I'm holding even or odd. Which one you think is in here. Then you wager. A few of your own. Stop giggling, asshole.
So let's end the game in 1 round. All or nothing.
You're up now. I don't want to do this with you, sir. I think we should play a new game here. Huh?
All right. Let's go to the myth or fact. Agile work environments are automatically inclusive because they focus on collaboration and teamwork. So if you go, please, to the poll and agree or disagree, or myth or fact.
See, we have the new poll live. So the voting started. Full on, 10 votes.
A myth, yeah.
All on a myth.
The game, the marble game, inclusion will help you win in this case. During the marble game, the players were asked to form a pair, and one player, that was player 212, she wasn't chosen by anyone. And to the surprise of all the others, she automatically passed this game and went to the next challenge. Well, in the Korean culture, that is, she was considered the kakgiju. And that's actually a method used in children's game to describe the weakest link of the group who will gain a special ability, usually in the form of immunity. Now, the concept of thought behind this is to teach children to considerate and include everyone, no matter how weak or different someone seems, so that everyone can enjoy the game and benefit from each other. So Kalsbeek-Geerdink exemplifies Korean culture's approach to interact with everyone without discrimination. If we look at the theory, the power of inclusion, well, within your team, you need to build a culture where inclusion is taken seriously. Like cultural change, it doesn't come automatically. And inclusion comes hand in hand with diversity. Explanation of diversity, it's about being invited to the party, and inclusion is being asked to join in the dance. Inclusion is also about joining the discussion, think along, and participate in decision making. And what we see is that often in teams, we're not used to shared decision making process. It's really easy to invite everyone into the party, but there are always some people you don't want to dance with, or maybe you don't like to dance yourself. But by integrating diversity and inclusion into all aspects of the Agile transformation, organizations can create a culture where all team members feel valued and respected, which can lead, in my opinion and experience, ultimately to improved collaboration, innovation, and performance. All right. Well, I'm curious, what do you say?
Yeah, I recognize some of the things that you mentioned about inclusion and diversity. One thing that comes to mind was a team I worked with a while back. During a agile transformation within the organization, this team really picked up quickly. So they really enjoyed the new way of working, let's put it that way, a lot, as opposed to the rest of the organization, who were a bit more slower to the game, as you could say. But the interesting thing that happened after that is that within the team, they ticked all the boxes of diversity and inclusion, as you mentioned. So yes, they love to dance, and yes, they love to dance with each other. However, what was interesting to see is that as they progressed within their, let's say, agile journey, they veered off of the path of the rest of the organization more and more, which was interesting to see because, yeah, at the end of the day, it's the organization as a whole that decides, the strategy, where to go and what to focus on. And this team pretty much threw it all in the wind and went their own way. So I guess you could say, yes, it works. The statement applied to the team within itself. But then, yeah, if you look at a broader perspective, didn't really work for the rest of the organization. They really had to work on including the entire organization. But yeah, that was the first thing that sprung to mind.
Okay. Well,
should we head on to the next?
Yeah.
And the last one.
Working agile means saying goodbye to formal hierarchies and leadership structures. What do you think? A myth or a fact?
And I think we have the third and last poll coming up live any minute now. So we'll wait for those votes to come in.
Yeah.
All right, going over to the fact.
Okay. Well, what does Squid Game actually say? From Squid Game, that deals with leadership and hierarchy, can be found in episode 2, when the players are in the dormitory. Sang-woo, one of the players, he begins to take a leadership role within the group, and he takes the initiative and suggests forming groups to survive in the game. Although not formally appointed as a leader initially, he assumes a dominant position within the group due to his charisma, intelligence, and strategic thinking. So this illustrates the rise of informal leadership and the formation of hierarchies within the group of players. And despite the lack of a formal hierarchical structure, natural leadership figures emerge based on a personal characteristics and a willingness to take action. What does the theory say about this? Navigating in an uncertain future, that is for most people and most companies, I think, the biggest challenge. And agility helps on how to participate on changes and unexpected events. But how we do deal with these uncertainties, not knowing what will happen, well, this is what we call a liminal phase. It's a time of uncertainty and exploration in which all structures and identities are crumbling, but new ones have not yet been formally formed. It's important to recognize this liminal phase as a natural part of the change process. By being aware of the challenges and uncertainties associated with this phase, individuals and organizations can better prepare for the transition. And during the liminal phase, there is a need for a different kind of leadership. Leaders who are able to be flexible and empathic, innovative. Leaders must be able to embrace and navigate uncertainty while providing a sense of direction and stability to their teams. So, curious, what do you
Yes,
think?
yeah, I recognize this a lot. I think of it was a sort of a social housing company. I guess we call it woningcorporaties in Dutch. Huge organizations, very traditional in their way of working. So yes, the hierarchies, the standard roles, and the directional leadership was very much present there. But nevertheless, they did decide on a certain agile transition. They installed a continuous development department, which spread out throughout all of the departments and did research and implemented certain continuous development changes, built agile teams here and there, which is really interesting to be part of. And what I could see there was that it was very hard for many people to slowly let go of their habits and their being used to directional leadership and more hierarchies. People really leaned on them, so to speak. So they looked up and waited for whoever was above them to give direction. So it was very much a game of experimentation and getting accustomed to this new way of working. Some didn't necessarily thrive in that, which was, I guess it's obvious. It's not. I don't think it's necessary for everybody to adopt a non-hierarchical leadership style. So some people really thrive in that, but some really did. It was really, really interesting to see. And what helped in this was one of the front women of this change was a very coaching and very servant leader. We all know this term, I guess, who could really let go of the directive way of managing and leading, and could help people and give them what they needed in order to adopt this new way of thinking, new way of working. So it was interesting to see, and I'm sure many people have had similar experiences as this.
Yeah. Well, interested. Thank you for sharing. Looking at the time, I think we're really on schedule. To end our conclusion and some tips, I think Squid Game provides valuable insight and tips for fostering a culture of collaboration, flexibility, empathy, experimentation, and security in an agile transformation. And by applying these principles, organizations can more effectively navigate, change, and succeed in an ever-changing environment. So if we look at safety and trust, Squid Game shows how fear and distrust can affect individuals' performance. And in an agile transformation, it's important to create a safe and supportive environment where team members feel free to express and take some risks. Cooperation and learning. Well, participants in Squid Game often learn through trial and error, experimenting with different strategies to survive. And if you look at an agile transformation, it's important to foster a culture of experimentation as well and learning, where teams are encouraged to try new ideas and learn from their experience. Last, leadership and empathy. Leadership plays a crucial role in Squid Game. especially during the liminal phase where leaders must navigate uncertainty and fear. In an agile transformation, empathic leadership is also essential, where leaders are able to understand and support the needs and concerns of their team members. So that's our conclusion and some tips. We have 5 minutes left for answering questions or remarks. I think the Q&A can be used for that.
Looking down here because that's where our screen is with the chat. Thank you, Sarsani. That's a really nice compliment.
Yeah, thanks.
I do hope I pronounce your name correctly.
Are there any other questions?
If there aren't, we would like to thank you for taking the time to listen to our talk. Thank you for voting. Thank you for participating. Who knows? Maybe next time you're watching Squid Game, you might think of us, or the other way around. Maybe within your organization, Squid Game pops to mind. We hope to have inspired you in that way. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe next time we'll actually can play some real games with you guys. Although nothing close to Squid Game. Don't worry. We'll stay safe.
All right. Thanks a lot and enjoy the day in the conference of DASA.